So I started here as a chaplain. Well, I was part-time. They asked me to go full-time to manage the facility. When I started, all the other chaplains were Baptists. And currently my boss is still a Baptist preacher.
Right.
I got a piece of prophetic art for my office, and I put it in here. And he said, "What's that?" And I'm like, how do I explain this? And so I'm telling him what prophetic art is, and
Right.
thinking that I'm the crazy charismatic amongst all these Baptists.
Right.
And this is his statement to me after I said what it is. He said, "We need that here." So I started an art class. And then our grant writer said, "What do you want to call it?" I'm like, "Expressions of Victory." And then he got a grant, and we did an art show. And so right now there isn't a class, but I'm going to start another class, and then I'm going to start a music class. And probably be able to do some recording. A lot of the homeless and poor are very artistic, and they may have difficulty figuring out ways how to monetize that. I noticed that first in San Diego.
Oh, yeah,
amongst the
you and I
homeless. So a lot of
chatted about that.
yes, so a lot of them are musicians or artists. So we're going to have those classes available. And there's a number of people that are similar to him where their level of anxiety around other people makes it difficult for them to live in an environment that's dormitory. Because in this building we have 150 beds, so that's a lot of people in one building.
Are they typically full?
We're typically full in two areas. We have 3 areas. We have 34 beds in our recovery program, and that's a little bit harder to get into. That's a year and a half program. They live here for 6 months, and then we have off-site housing.
Okay.
So that's 34 beds. We have 66 beds in a lodge, which is a pay lodge, so it's $11 a night. That's normally full or near full, and then we have 50 beds. It's an emergency shelter. They can come here and stay free for 30 days, and
Okay.
that's usually full or nearly full. So most of our building is usually full.
So who painted this?
Lisa Flintage, I don't know who she is.
Okay.
I went to the healing rooms at Dayspring, and I just wrote down I wanted a piece of art for my office, and I don't know this person personally, and she doesn't know me, and without knowing me or my situation, she painted this picture. And it says, "When life turns and winds whip and howl, my voice is steadfast and sure, my strength is secure, my love is forever. The winds of life continually turn my eyes back to you." So this is meaningful to me because of this word, but it even has a bigger meaning. But because of this painting, I stepped out and was bold with my director of ministry and with prophetic art, because I'm on prophetic team, so this is something I'm into the prophetic, but I didn't know if there'd be a context for this here, and for him to say, "We need that here," I'm like, what?
That's wonderful.
So I immediately started an art class, and right outside the door you can see some more art from the men from our first art class.
Art really bridges gaps.
It does, and when I first started, the classes that we had here were all lecture-based theology classes, and so a lot of men weren't able to connect with that because it wasn't participatory, and it wasn't. It was just lecture-based. So the arts have really helped. So this is some of the artwork from that class.
And how long ago was this class?
About a year ago. We've had another class since then, but I think this artwork's from about a year ago. And what blew my mind is this piece of art really sticks out to me because I knew the man who did it, and he was. I didn't think he'd ever do art because he seemed so angry, and I didn't think he'd ever do something that was that pleasant. So even though in and of itself it doesn't look like much, but since I knew the man who did it, I'm just amazed at what came out of him and his willingness. So some men aren't prepared to sit and listen to a sermon on theology, but if you put art stuff in front of them, they might produce something and they may be able to express something they've never been able to express before. Over here we have a couple more things that are interesting. The way this is written, it looks very real, and so a man wrote that. And this is a man who just graduated our second phase. That means he finished the first 6 months of recovery, and now he's going to go to the third phase housing. He wrote this poem. What's unique about him is he's the first one who's graduated our second phase of recovery that wasn't there for substance abuse. He didn't have any substance abuse issues. He had severe depression and isolation. And he's come out of that, and he's just come alive. These are different men who've stayed here or friends of people who've stayed here, and their statements that encourage us. I just spoke to this gentleman. We lost touch with him for a moment, but he's doing well, and he's spoken to his sister. I think that, yeah.
So Lori is his sister?
Lori is his sister. She's the one that sent me this email about her brother who was staying here, and then he went to the hospital, and then he wasn't at the hospital. We weren't sure where he went, but I've seen him recently a few times. He comes to our dinners that we serve, and he's got his own apartment now, and he's doing well, and he's communicating with his sister. His sister and his mom get concerned because they lose touch with him. He's an older gentleman, and he doesn't always communicate well with them, and they're in another state.
Here, real quick. This is have I shown you this camera before?
No, I don't think
It's a 360 camera. It just gets the whole room all at once.
I think you have.